Hey everyone, I'm Andy Raffel from eTeknix.com and today it's time to release the Kraken, but this time with an LCD display. The latest gaming gear from MSI featuring the GK50 low-profile mechanical gaming keyboard, the GM50 mouse featuring durable on-run switches and a PixArt sensor, and the GH50 with its powerful 40mm drivers, virtual 7.1 surround and much more. Combine the three for the very best gaming experience. Find out more by clicking the link in the description below. So for anyone who I guess is, let's call it old school, you'll remember the original Krakens, the X40 and the X60. Now I'm going to make everyone feel a little bit old here because that actually released in October of 2012. Yeah, I feel old, you probably feel old as well, if you remember that. So as we know, things have kind of developed on from there, and what we've actually got today is a launch of a whole new host of Kraken coolers from NZXT. So we've actually got the X53, the X63, the X73, the Z63 and the Z73. So I've actually got the Z63 in front of me, and well, this actually has a few unique points to it. Firstly, it comes with an Acertech Gen 7 pump. So basically this is claimed to be the first desktop product to use out of bounds temperature sensing. Sounds like the biggest load of marketing hype I've ever heard, but apparently it actually means something. What it actually means is that the pump will increase its RPM to 3600 RPM in the hope that the liquid inside will go below 60 degrees. So basically it just gives you, I guess, one less thing to worry about when you're doing them extreme gaming sessions or even doing something that's really going to tax your processor like rendering, photo editing, all that kind of good stuff. So I've got the Z63 here. It's basically the same as the X63 as they're both 280mm, which is likely to be the most popular models. They both feature the same fans, the pump tech, the sleeve tubes, the rotatable pump orientation, etc. Now there are a few differences in that we get fan control and fan 0 dB mode on the Z series, giving you even more functionality over your cooling performance. Now the main difference with the Z series is going to come down to the 2.36 inch or 60mm LCD 24-bit colour screen, which is fully customizable using the NZXT CAM software. So what can you actually do on the screen? Well, you can fully customize the look of your cooler. With the X series you have the NZXT logo with the infinity mirror like we've seen before, but with the Z series, like the Z63 that we've got here, you can basically put anything you want on it. Whether it be an image of yourself, a funny GIF, cooling performance data from your PC, the world simply is your oyster. Without sort of going too much into just, the aesthetic part of the block at the moment, I want to talk about the other features of the Z63. So starting with the radiator. So it's a 30mm thick radiator, nothing really out of the ordinary. It's made out of aluminium, or from my American friends, tin. Yes, I tried to do a joke. Aluminum, we get it, we say it differently. Let's move on. Now, the fin density is actually quite dense, and there's a little bit of subtle NZXT branding on each side, just in case you forgot, I don't know, who makes the product. So fan-wise, it comes with two AER P140 high-performance static pressure fans. They operate between 500 and 1800 RPM, plus or minus about 300 RPM, and they can operate as low as 21 decibels, thanks to the fluid dynamic bearing inside. In terms of the connectors for the fans, we have a single 4-pin PWM connector, and it is sleeved using this, I don't know, it's like a kind of rubber sleeving. We've all seen it before on the fans, so again, nothing really out of the ordinary. When it comes to the tubing, that is actually fixed to the radiator, so if you're in the hope of having something where you could maybe refill the fluid or you could detach it and add in parts to your GPU, sadly this isn't going to be the product for you, but there are many products out there without kind of dipping your toe directly in the custom loop world. Definitely look at something maybe from the likes of AlphaCool. They have quite a few products, I guess, aimed at that kind of market. Now, speaking of the tubes are 400mm in length, and they're braided with a nylon sleeve over the top of rubber, and they feel of really good quality. It's something that we've kind of come to expect from NZXT. They also don't kink easily, so depending on the orientation in your case, you're not really going to have too much of a problem with trying to find somewhere that it kind of fits without causing too much, I don't know, obstruction, shall we say. So the pump itself has two connectors, one for USB control and one for powering the pump and the fans. Cable-wise, one of the connectors includes a micro USB on one end and a USB 2.0 header on the other, while the other set of cables is more like a kind of breakout cable. So this end plugs into your pump, and then off of there we have our connectors for our fans, we have the 3-pin connectors go into your motherboard, SATA power, and also a connector for plugging directly into an NZXT hub. So if you've already got this, maybe you've got a case that includes it, you will actually be able to plug this directly into it and just kind of have that whole ecosystem going, especially when it comes to the RGB elements. So other things that you get included, obviously you get all of your screws, washers, and this includes the long screws for going through the fan as well as the small screws for attaching to your case. On top of that, you do get all of the various different fittings and fixtures for Intel and AMD platforms. So this is going to support all of the latest platforms, of course, apart from TRX 40. So moving on to the area that I guess we all want to talk about, and that's going to be the CPU block. Now, I want to say that it's actually fairly big, but in the grand scheme of things, considering the functionality that you actually get, it's relatively small. I mean, let's compare it against Deepcool. So Deepcool have their Captain cooler, which is actually quite a lot bigger, and it does incorporate, I guess, some of the same technology and the fact that the screen can be rotated. Compared to, say, the Asus Ryujin or the other one that they had out that I completely forget the name. Again, this is actually a little bit smaller. So the Ryujin was actually a square block and, well, it took up quite a lot of room. I get the reasons as to why it did, because it had a fan that was meant to cool down the VRMs but didn't really do a very good job. Whereas this, they can actually afford to, I don't know, make it a little bit smaller purely because it doesn't need to have the unnecessary technology in there. This is all about, I guess, apart from the functionality that we spoke about with the Asetek version 7, the block itself really is all going to come down to the aesthetics. So the block is mainly made from plastic, and the real beauty really comes down to that 60mm LCD screen. It has a display resolution of 320 pixels by 320 pixels and is 650 candelas per square meter bright. Or in layman's terms, it's bright. As I mentioned earlier, it's fully controllable through the NZXT CAM software. Anyone with NZXT RGB products will be more than familiar with CAM, and personally, I kinda like it. I've seen it develop from its early stages into the beast that it is now, and it includes so much functionality. You can of course upload your own GIFs. Now to do this, it is a matter of using a website like Giphy to actually make a GIF, or just grabbing one of the most famous ones off of the internet and uploading it to the software. Sadly, there isn't any area to actually manufacture any GIFs from within the software, but hopefully this is maybe something NZXT may do in the future. The beauty of this cooler is that it can be rotated through the software to a 90-degree angle. This is a little bit different to the competition like Deepcool with their Castle, where you physically have to reach into your system and turn it by hand. When it comes to installation, it's as easy as you'd come to expect from an NZXT Asetek amalgamation. Compared to others on the market, NZXT have always been one of the easiest, and the block comes with an Intel bracket pre-installed. Now I do wonder though, could this be a little bit of a mistake, with the rise of Ryzen? Stop with these jokes. So the only other part that we really need to talk about is performance. So how did it perform? Well, it actually performed pretty well. I guess as we'd expect, nothing really out of the ordinary, but nothing, I guess, mind-blowing. It's just an evolutionary step of NZXT with their newest product, just increasing that functionality and having, I guess, a product that in theory should last you a lot longer, should be, I guess, giving you that extra level of customization, but the performance should still be at a really, really good level. But performance is, I guess, quite a subjective thing, because a lot of it is going to come down to pricing. So how does it actually really compare when you look at pricing versus performance? So for the Z63 that we tested today, it comes in at around £219.99 in the UK, £249.99 in the US, and €249.99 Euros. Comparing this to similar from Deepcool, for instance, it's actually £80 more expensive. Compared to the Asus Ryujin, which is a 360mm AIO, it's about the same price. Yes, the functionality is a bit different, but I honestly think the price could be adjusted by around £20 or $30 or so, just to make it more competitive with the rest of the market. I mean, one thing that I really want to sort of say about the Z63 is, yes, it has the LCD display, but so does the X63. Yes, it doesn't have the same kind of functionality in terms of uploading GIFs and stupid images and other logos and things like that, but how often are you really going to use that technology? I guarantee it's going to be something that maybe it will be a novelty thing when you first get the cooler, but beyond that, well, where do you sort of go from there? I guess really it's going to be one of them things where you're going to set it and forget it. So with that in mind, the X63, which is, I guess is its non-customizable screened little brother, it's still a 280mm AIO, but yes, you can't have all this data on the front of it, but you can still have the infinity mirror and the NZXT logo, you can still adjust all the colors. Well, it's $100 cheaper. So only really you guys as consumers can decide, is an extra $100 really worth having the factor of, I don't know, putting a silly face on there or having a meme on there, some kind of GIF on there. It's $100, that's a lot of money. Think what else you could buy for your system for $100. I don't know, it's a tricky one, and I'm still a little bit on the fence because yes, I do love the functionality behind this, but $100, a lot of money. Let me know what you think in the comments section below, guys, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. I don't normally do AIOs because there's not really a lot to say about them, but with this, I guess there is a lot more than first meets the eye. There you go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, you know exactly what to do. No one asked you, Siri. And I will see you in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.